Yep, my OBS is frozen. We absolutely love to see it.
Yeah.
Let's try that again. Let's just simply okay, it's back, but get ready for a cool episode, guys. I hopefully it doesn't mess up again. All right, back to the intro.
This is the Pinemen.
Hey everyone.
There we go. Round two.
Welcome to another episode of the Pine Men. This is episode 10 now, double digits.
Episode 10.
Big milestones.
So, on this episode, I want to talk about kind of the thing that we've talked about in the last two episodes a little bit is what is this all for? And could it be better? Basically.
I think it could be, and I'm curious to see how you think it could be, and
Yeah.
or if it could be. Who knows? Maybe we'll
That's
arrive to the conclusion that this is just the natural way of things. That we were born to get in the car and yell at people on the road,
Yep.
like you said.
Yep.
Hopefully not, though.
I mean, yeah. So we think about. Sorry, I was just getting the Twitch thing open.
No, it's all
So I
good.
was mildly distracted.
It's fine. Got to make sure that we maintain
Keep track of.
that interaction with the fan
Indeed.
base. You know,
Indeed.
we're at 10 episodes. We're almost at 10 subscribers on YouTube. It's getting
I
really
know, which is
serious.
not bad. It's not bad.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I think some of them are actually unknown people, which is a huge thing. You know?
This is actually sick that it has like a stream manager on your phone, so you can like yeah, this is cool.
Oh, nice.
You could just see the chat. You don't see the stream itself. You just see like how many viewers and how long it's been going and the chat.
Oh, perfect. That's
So I will just have this open to the side a little bit so I can see it.
great. Okay.
All right. So if anybody decides to send a message, hopefully I'll be able to see it.
Yeah. Nice. So
Okay.
just go ahead. I was gonna say what got you really focusing on this specifically? I mean, I know it's a big thing, but I don't know if
Yeah, it's kind of like yeah, that's what I've been thinking about basically is this the only like is through time all of the things have led us to this point obviously.
hmm
Right? But was it inevitable or is there choices that we could have made along the way or like basically our frame of reference for what can be is based on what has already been
yeah,
and even like we talk about politics and stuff like that, and we talk about things very much so in like binaries, left versus right, or like communist, capitalist. It's like very like there's only these options that we can choose from. How do we choose the best thing?
yeah. I mean, it's tough, right? Because without, I don't know, like what do you do as far as money? You know, like currency in some
Yeah,
way. Like how are goods exchanged or needs met? You know, I'd love to
yeah,
not have money exist. You know what I mean? But
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is it possible? Is there a system that like can like so basically I guess the main problems are right. The number one is resources, right? Like having enough food to survive the winters, basically,
yeah,
is the important thing. And back in history, obviously, like agriculture led to cities directly,
right.
and which led to now a bunch of people can live, and we need to find stuff for them to do.
Yeah.
and ways for them to like add value to it's kind of it kind of always has felt to me like we're just like looking for stuff for other people to do.
It definitely does feel that way, regardless of whether or not it's actually truly productive. I mean, it
Yeah.
produces something, but are those things actually, it's hard to call it productive when sometime, well, like what is productive about, you know, uh, being a being the person who denies health insurance claims. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like, or yeah, I don't know if that's the proper terminology, but like someone who denies someone coverage for a health emergency. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that was a
Yeah.
pre-existing condition. There is nothing of value there. I guess value is really the thing in question. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but those stupid stuff like even stuff like that is like those are jobs that are created to like manage problems that were also created by trying to solve other problems with like it's like
Yeah.
okay, yeah, okay. So let's think. What what things are necessary for human development and what things are like noise?
Yeah.
Because to some degree I think it could be argued that like war was necessary at a point in time.
Depending on, yeah, I mean, I guess, but like depending on how much you strip away, like I guess so, right? Because yeah, maybe because I guess if some people lost access to whatever resources they depended on, it's a matter of survival to, it's like it feels so wrong to even say, but like yeah, what do you do if it's a matter of I can't survive unless we basically take over these people's land? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Nowadays it's
exactly.
so far from that, but it's more like, oh, nowadays war is about, ooh, I can increase my, I can get a bigger margin on my on my investment if
Yeah,
I, if we make this happen, this industry will boom if we can secure these resources or whatever. But
yeah,
yeah, like yeah, sorry, I'm gonna try to like really strip it back into like the bare basic, like the bare minimum requirements, right? Like I guess maybe that would be like the best way to
think
look
about
at
it.
it, right?
Yeah, well, it's just like yeah, we need food, and we need meaning, and we need shelter and community.
Yeah.
What else do we need?
Um, well, it gets tricky.
Clothing to some degree if it's chilly.
Yeah. And huh. I mean, it's like it's weird because everything that I'm thinking is like kind of creating like a little bit of like a paradox because I want to say, well,
Well, let
you
me
would
hear it.
need
Yeah,
some kind of energy source to sustain all the people on Earth, but technically if you were starting from scratch, we never would have gotten to 7 billion people. That only became possible because of the access to resources to produce energy, to, generate energy that allow us to do agriculture in a more efficient
yeah,
way and things like that.
yeah. But I feel like we could have had a system where it's like smaller communities, right?
Yeah.
Still, we could still gonna have like agricultural systems where we like farm the land and in like the best possible way to produce enough food for X amount of people
Yeah. Right.
without having to need like like power plants to like because I feel like there's like it's interesting because we didn't have power when we first had agriculture.
Right.
We had like water power and stuff in like Roman times and aqueducts, and then we get to like then there's just so many people. I guess it's kind of just like what happened was there was just too many people in one spot, and then like people were making money by no.
It's hard, right? I mean, yeah, I thought
Yeah.
it would be like, okay, yeah, just get down to the basics, but it's like, yeah, what how did the things develop, you know what I mean? Like I
Well, it's like there's like go ahead.
I think yeah, there are I guess yeah, like I don't know. I mean, in my mind, just this is just how I feel without having broken it down on to like a any like really significant degree, I guess. The way I feel about it is like what you said before, smaller communities that like sustain themselves and are like a community in a sense where it's not, oh, I live in this neighborhood and
Mm-hmm.
I know I know the guy at the deli. I say hey to him
Yeah.
every morning when I grab coffee. It's like no, like we depend. It's basically like we are like closer probably than like the average family is today. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
you
Exactly.
depend on them for everything, and even including like raising the children. It's like not. I that's
Yeah.
a little yeah, like that's a little controversial, but people these days I guess, but I don't know. I just find it to be a weird thing, even with that. I don't mean to get sidetracked, but like even that, like raising children, it's like I don't know. I just don't see a world where I don't see any way where you can say that like I don't know, because in nature it does happen where like just the parent raises the child. That's it. There's no other input and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It just feels weird in this world when you're a human being. You're born. You didn't ask to be born. Here you are though, and
Yeah.
you're just you know, at the mercy
Yeah.
of the people who just happen to create you, and they could be going around saying all the problems in the world are caused by whatever, any of the things that may have popped into your head at that moment that people tend to
Exactly.
repeat so
Exactly.
often, you know. And then
Yeah.
you just
It's
grow up and like it's, and then suddenly it's your responsibility to learn that that's not true, and whereas if like
yeah.
a bigger pool of people were influencing you based on the experiences of many people of themselves as a community, I just think it would create more well-rounded human beings. But that's like
Agree.
I said, that's not something
And
I've
it's
spent a ton of time thinking about. But
it's also like really natural for people to seek out community now. Like you see like on the internet and wherever they can. It's like it's different than it could be, but it's like people are always looking for their where they belong,
hmm
kind of. And if we had like uh, if we focused more on that kind of like meaning in life of like a kind of like a spiritual meaning of like uh, the point of life is connection to the people around you and to like the world at large.
yeah,
That's the point, you know,
yep,
and like working to get better at that is the goal.
yeah, that's definitely something that resonates with me. I mean, think that that is what people really are either trying to reconnect with consciously or or subconsciously or whatever, and like or when I say like subconsciously or whatever, it's like maybe they don't like obviously they don't realize that that's what they're trying to do or whatever, but it's just I do feel like that is what creates a lot of like the feeling of alienation from society or from what they do in their life and or from the people around them
Exactly.
and stuff. It's like a lack of that spiritual connection or just I guess yeah, you could just broadly say spiritual connection to all of those things, including the earth itself, you know what I mean? Like you are
Yeah.
not separate from it, like
Yeah. Exactly. And this the thing is, it's like like you think about how we even came to be, and then what we've become, and it's like, what would have happened if we kind of like didn't. Well, I don't know. This is another interesting kind of paradox as well, where it's like, would we have been better off if we didn't like push the bounds of like medical science?
That's tough because,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
But like there would have been less of us definitely.
yeah.
But would we have been better off?
I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah, I
Because
know.
it's like, you want
Can't
to,
know.
the first thing that comes to mind is like, oh, well, there would be a lot more suffering. You know what I mean? People would, mothers would die in childbirth more often. Babies would, infants would, die. There would be a higher infant mortality rate. People would die of preventable illnesses and stuff. But, and obviously all of that is terrible. I'm not saying like, hey, we
Yeah.
should just let that happen. I just mean, you know, we're like, just to try to remind myself, like, it's not about should we go back to that. It's more like, what just theoretically, what would have happened if these things didn't
Yeah.
develop? It's like, it's hard because we have this like belief as humans that like we are so basically is so important basically,
Yeah.
and it's just we're the only life form or whatever that is like held in that regard where like if you I don't know, I know it might sound a little this might be a little much, but like okay, you get an ant infestation in your house. It's very normal to just be like, all right, I'm going to put poison down and just wipe out the whole colony and kill
Yeah.
thousands of these
Yeah.
sentient beings, I mean, sentient in the
Yeah.
sense that, however we understand it. But like, and it's just like, yeah, well, why wouldn't I do that? It was annoying, But yet
Yeah.
with us,
Yeah.
it's like any little thing is like, I don't know. I don't even really know. There's so much to this that it's hard to even like unpack it in like a concise way where it's like, on one hand, like I said, like there'd be birth, childbirth deaths and infant mortality, but I don't know because the suffering that we experience to participate in like society as we know it now makes it so that basically people are suffering constantly in just a different way,
Yes.
Really like truly like
Yeah.
suffering. I mean, it's weird when you actually spend a little bit of time thinking about that and realizing that like almost every moment of every day of your entire life you're doing things that you do not want to be doing. You don't feel connected to it. You don't feel anything from it. It's just I have to do it. It's just needed. It's necessary, and
Yeah.
I don't know, but that brings up a whole nother thing because the luxury that we have, because at the same time, the things that we do have through, I guess, like technological advances, even just talking about like, whatever, like engines, that run on
Okay.
even oil or whatever, allow us to have, like we complain about this. We specifically, you mentioned the grocery store a lot. You know what I mean? It's like
Yes.
we can just go to the grocery store and get food. You know what I mean? If you have the money, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot there too, but it's like I don't know. It's like every time I think I'm about to wrap it up, it like makes me think of a bunch of more things that are like, oh well, you can't disregard this factor,
Yeah.
because but I don't know.
It is a lot to think about it all at once, for sure. But it's like, exactly, which means like, why are we assuming that we're already doing the right thing? We're just like, most of us don't want to think about it,
Hmm. That's definitely
So
true.
it's like going back to like the medical thing. It's like, if we never came up with, you know, and more, what's a good one, like vaccines and stuff like that,
Yeah,
right? And then, polio would have killed a bunch of people. Smallpox would have killed a bunch more people.
yeah,
But like we would have continued to, we would have kept going.
Right. As a
Generally,
species, as if you just treat us like any other animal, you know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah,
We would have not be gone extinct, you know what I mean? Most likely, right?
yeah, yeah, and it's kind of like to some degree, I feel like our like not only do we like create like synthetic like needs, you know,
Yeah.
and then like now like you know because if we if we if we were only taking into consideration like the basics of the actual needs for life, most of every most things would be useless,
Oh, for
you
sure.
know.
Yeah.
So it's and then we just have all of this extra time and energy and space and meaning that's
Yeah.
not being like misplaced in this is I moved away from the medical thing really quickly because that gave me a headache.
It's fine. Yeah. It's
but the
hard to.
but the
Yeah.
but like we create this like uh yeah like this like vacuum of need for every human. We're like especially Western, you know, Western people. It's like here you go, here's your vacuum of need. Try to fill it as best you can,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. I see what you
you
mean.
know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then people spend their whole life just buying stuff,
Yeah.
you know. And then they have kids, but the kids like are just annoying to them
Right. Yeah.
because they have to go to work and they have to buy stuff.
Yep.
So it's just this like
Yeah. It's the
anyway.
constant thing of just doing things that you don't want to be doing, you know?
Yeah, and it's because we've because it's and it's because we started trading food for like weapons and clothes, and then we were like, okay, we traded all that we can with that. I want to trade stuff too. What can I trade? Okay, I'm gonna make what was I wonder what the first like luxury item was outside of like food and spices and stuff like that. Like
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I don't know, pepper or
yeah,
like
yeah, that was
cumin or something. I don't know.
yeah. But you know, it's
But
like
yeah.
there's just we just fill our lives with so much stuff, and don't get me wrong, like we've talked about before, like humans love novelty, and I don't expect us to not love novelty and not be excited about little things.
Hmm.
But like when we form our whole like society around just making little novel things for people to get excited about, it doesn't feel like we're doing anything. Especially when that mentality is actively like stifling most people from having a good life.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know?
Where, yeah, I mean, it's this might be. I know this is not. I don't think what. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. Here's what something that like I think about. So, and I think this is part of. When we watched that one video called like the importance of imagination or whatever it was
Yeah.
called with by that channel Saint Andrewism. It was yeah, not necessarily that video specifically, but like some things that I heard about through that channel and then like looked into more uh, seem really interesting to me. Where this is not exactly like the same thing that you started with, but who knows? Maybe this would be a better way to have progressed because it does tie in all the things that I'm bringing up, like, you know, having energy sources and using them and stuff like that, and advancing
Yeah.
technology to in a smart and like reasonable, I don't know if that's the exact right word, like just,
Meaningful way,
yeah, like a
maybe.
meaningful way that actually has benefit and value. Yeah. Instead of just to be able to produce
More stuff.
consumer goods that are just,
Yeah.
meant to make you get that little happy thought in the happy chemicals go into your brain when you say, "Oh, that's cute. Wow. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow, I have that now. My life is better.
Yeah.
My life's better now."
Yeah.
And it's like but instead, imagine if imagine if people just it's hard because I'm kind of just taking for granted everything up until about 100 years ago. Or
Yeah.
maybe, I guess I would say more like 150 years ago. during like when industrial revolutions really started going down. I guess where did that would have been in England first, I guess, right? It's
Yeah.
like imagine it instead of doing that for the purpose of like okay, I'll use America as an example because it's just more, I know more about it. So instead of General Motors and Ford starting, building factories and producing car parts and, they employed a lot of people, gave them, a living and all this stuff so that they could have cars and then people had to build the roads, that creates more jobs and all this stuff. Okay. Imagine if instead of that, people just said, oh wow, we can have like combustion engines that can like power machinery and transport goods and supplies and necessary things. So let's like just but hey, but instead of doing what they did and saying, all right, I'm going to employ a bunch of 10-year-olds and they're going to
Yeah.
their dad is going to work here and the little kids are going to work here and I'm going to make them work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week and blah blah blah, whatever it was. Like instead of that, because then I owned the company, so I'm going to make a lot of money off this, this is going to be huge and, then we pat them on the back cuz at least they're giving jobs to those little kids and they can put food on the table now. Okay, instead say,
Isn't
wow.
it's just insane?
Yeah, you did them a favor by
Yeah.
basically enslaving their entire family. So at the with the
Yeah.
coercion of hey, if you hey, at least you can afford to eat now,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
instead, if they just were like, oh
We're
my god,
helping you.
just everything, if everything was just viewed like this, wow, this technology now exists. We created it. Thank you so much for doing this. We will now use this to benefit the people of this earth and
Yeah. Right.
make it so that instead of using it to mass produce cars that someone buys if they have enough money and then they can use it to drive on the road and it always comes back to the roads and the cars, it does with me, but yeah,
Yeah.
like it's
Got
just a
it.
good example. So it's to get the cars and drive them on the road and you know to get to where you want to go and now we can build suburbs and put more roads so that we don't have to cram the people into the cities and we can do that. What if instead, okay, like instead of that, instead of looking at it that way, like now they can be in the suburbs so that they can drive to work, so now they can get there easier. It's like, what if they just said, okay, what can we do with these engines? Like, the ability to, whatever, these engines basically. Like, we can automate and we can,
Yeah.
but we got to be conscious. We don't want to we don't want to destroy the planet. We don't want to overdo this. We don't want to just become like basically like greedy or gluttonous with
Yeah.
our more. Just plan it out and be like, step one, how can we use this to feed every single person in the country, or ideally in the world? That would be one thing. I think start
Yeah.
with that. Unite the people of the world. No countries. Just we are all
Yeah.
inhabitants of this earth. That should be step one from day
Yeah. Like
one.
why? How come like when like back in the day, right? When like God, I guess, okay, well, I guess why asking why is kind of stupid, but it's also like is it human to come across another tribe and be like, oh, you guys are bad guys,
I don't know. It's like it's hard to tell what's natural or what's not because we're
or like, oh, you guys
so.
are like underdeveloped and like dumb, so we're just gonna take you guys and we'll just make you work some stuff.
To be honest, I don't think it is. I don't think it's natural. I really don't.
Yeah, instead of being like, hey, how's it going over here?
Right?
I
Imagine if
see you
it's.
guys got some stuff. What do you got? Oh, you guys make cool necklaces here.
Imagine if
Can we
instead
trade
of.
you some of our cool necklaces for some of your cool necklaces?
Yeah. Right. Imagine no countries. Not John Lennon, by the way.
Just necklace trade,
Imagine there's
necklace
no
trading.
countries. Yeah, whatever. But like, in all seriousness, I didn't mean to reference that. But like, imagine no countries where it's like,
For old men.
yeah, where like where instead of saying, oh, you know how it is, and I don't know specifically, but like whatever. Oh, everybody knows that. I don't even know if this is true, but like everybody knows that French people hate Egyptian people or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
whatever it may be. Like instead of things like that being the case, or let's use it like this: like America is very like skeptical, is very like Islamophobic. You know what I mean? For the most part, like in a lot of ways. Instead of that being the case, and obviously there's context. I'm not saying it's justified in any way, shape, or form. I mean, come on, separate it. Like it's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
anyway, like instead of that, just we're starting from scratch, or just having a moment where we just like wake up and say, "Oh shit, what are we doing? All right, let's rethink this right now." Like, just
Yeah.
imagine, like you just go and see people that are different from you, and say, "Wow, I want to learn more about this. Like, this is interesting to me. How do you do this? That's how you do it? No way, we do it like this." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and just use that to grow instead of trying to tear people down because you see them as a threat, or they threaten
Yeah.
our democracy and our Judeo-Christian values and that's the only way to be. Like even that is just like, oh, it's
Well,
so.
that's what like that's when I talk about like monarchy and stuff like that. It's like when I think about that like the feudal age,
Hmm.
I feel like that was the last time that like government at least made sense.
Really.
Like kind of like I mean on like I feel like having I don't know like I feel like well at least by made sense I mean it's not as convoluted as like once because you think about it right there's during like that period of time like the colonial period
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of people making bad choices and good choices and we don't hear so much about the people who are making good choices because I'm sure that there were some explorers who were like oh hey what's up guys I
Maybe I'd like
guarantee
to
you but
believe that.
we don't talk about them because they didn't get anything done.
That could be true.
You know, well, I know there was some Spanish explorers who like made friends with the Aztecs back in the day, but
Really.
then like some other Spanish explorers came and started causing problems, and then there was like the Spanish War that happened down there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think there was. Yeah, okay. This is ringing
There
a
was like
bell a
there was
little
like
bit.
one Spanish I think he was Spanish explorer who like became friends with it might have been Montezuma even. It was like one of like the named Aztec leaders.
Okay, yeah, this is definitely ringing a
And they
bell.
like became like friends and like he like won their trust.
Yeah, and they held each other in high regard and stuff like that, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, but then they ended up someone else fucked it up kind of.
Yeah,
It was like
right,
this
right, right.
like yeah. And you know it's like yeah, you don't hear so much about that kind of stuff because like if Columbus came to America and was just like, "Hey guys, how's it going? Cool." And you know, and that was it, then like what's there to write about? You know, it's like
Yeah.
America would have never formed and
Yeah, but would that have even been a bad thing? And that's like,
no, I'm not saying that at all, but
no, yeah, I know you're not. Yeah.
yeah, but I'm saying like people want like that's the thing because we like the drama. That's kind of human, seemingly.
At this point, yeah, I guess
So like
so.
we like almost like passively like reinforce that behavior as good. Like the most cutthroat guy is the guy that people are going to write books about.
But here, okay, that's a great way to emphasize the point that I'm going to make is that a lot of the stuff that we say as like this is something so every time we talk about this I always think to myself like I don't think it's human. I like human nature. I don't think it is.
Yeah,
So,
part of
and
it must be though.
right when you said that, it's like for some reason though, it seems like it's just I don't think it is. I really just don't. I think it's like the development of like European culture and that spills into the Mediterranean area as well and things like that, but I don't know like do we know enough about like Native American tribes and like how they interacted with each other? Maybe they were just like
They they warred. They definitely warred.
okay, but was it like in the same way for conquest and glory, or was it just like were there other reasons?
I think there were some like warrior, like there was a lot of warrior tribes in the Americas at the time.
Yeah.
Where like their whole like ecosystem was based on kind of like, yeah, like their culture was war based, and like they had to like go through like the trials and tribulations of like being a young man who now has to like learn how to fight and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen documentaries on that kind of thing, but like
Yeah, things like that make me.
whether or not they just randomly murdered people is besides, like, that's probably not the case. But like I think war is natural to some degree when it comes to like genuine like disputes of resources. But this is what I'm saying though, is like we got to the point where like the need for resources has like it is, we only need so much now because we produce so much now.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm kind of saying, is like there would be less war over resources if we just fucking chilled out
Yeah, definitely.
with making stuff. But like no, but because we have everything framed in our Western minds that like the only value that you have as a human being is how much money you have, or like land, or just wealth, whatever kind.
Right. Yeah.
So it makes sense to most people because they're like, this is how it's. I understand it because this is what we're doing. I thought.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing, which is like brings me to the idea of like what I was saying before we went live, is like talking about like the Bible and how the Bible being like and what I mean, for the Western world,
Yeah.
the Bible was like the original framework for like morality.
Yeah.
And we like subconsciously now still follow the Bible, even if we're not like religious people, because it's just
right.
so ingrained into what it means to be like a Western person.
Uh-huh.
And sure, like things have changed, and like, we have become generally more progressive with our thinking. But at the end of the day, it's still like we had to change from that way of thinking to something else. It's, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like it's the same thing with like with cities and resources and production. It's like we have to make a very conscious leap to get out of thinking like that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's like
even
the
like
default way.
on an individual basis, and then hopefully on a societal basis. Because like we've said before, if everyone just decided like, yeah, we don't want all this shit,
Right.
the people would eventually be like, we're wasting our money making this shit now.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So it's like,
But the
but
entire
we still feel like because we still feel it in our body that we need it.
Right, but I think a lot of that comes from because it's the entire machine working to remind you that you need it. You need it. You need it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to spend millions of dollars to get this Super Bowl ad slot to tell you that
Yeah.
Pepsi is actually going to solve world, all the problems
Yeah.
in the world, and we're
You
going
need
to end racism with Pepsi and stuff like that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
You need it.
yeah,
You gotta
exactly.
have it. Pepsi's actually really good for you.
Yeah, it's great.
It's like, it's not good for you. We know it's not good for your body, but it's good for your soul.
Yeah, it is, which in turn will make you a better person, and it's good for your body at that point, right? Might as well be.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, yeah, it really is. It's just like, it's just, it's hard. It's hard. It really, like talking about this actually, like we pretty much talk about this general concept all the time, but talking about this really drives it home how much we are indoctrinated into just the
Yeah.
beliefs that they decide are these are the morals that you must have, and this is how people behave, and this is what we value. Yeah, like, I don't know. It is like, it's hard. I mean, even down to, I don't know. This is like a little bit more, this is like borderline conspiratorial, but or like conspiracy theory type stuff, but not, maybe not. But yeah, not, I don't think it's dangerous or anything, but it's like, how do we even know for sure the way that different societies actually functioned? How do we actually know? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah.
everyone always says that the victors write the history books, right? And
Yeah.
it's like when they came over and wiped out the entire native population of the Americas, basically, you know what I mean? Not entirely, but huge, huge, huge chunks of it, and totally like took over. I don't know. What if maybe they were just like super peaceful and just like had like a way of just sharing, and they were more focused on, like we were talking about to start off, like finding a spiritual connection to the earth and the universe itself and everything like that. You know what I mean? What's up?
Yeah. We
Well,
just got a message in the chat.
what's up?
Aspiration 6.
Oh, that's I know who that is. That's Brian.
Oh yeah, yes, that'd be great.
What do you say?
Wait, can I call into the show at the end? Have a meet and greet?
Really? I mean, hell yeah.
Yeah. Call in.
Call it. Yeah. We'll post the number on the screen in a minute.
Dude, that would be awesome if we could do that.
How would you even? Yeah, to call in. I mean, I don't know. Just I don't know. Message me on Discord.
Yeah, hop in the voice chat on Discord.
Yeah. Well, I would have to invite him to this channel, but it's or this server or whatever. But
Yeah, that
I'd be so down. I mean,
it would be. I think it's worth setting up for the future if we
yeah. No, of course. That's always been the dream.
take questions on air.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love it.
But yeah, I get what you're saying though with the like yeah we don't know for sure if native people were violent or if they were just said that like the people who murdered them were like no they were you don't even know.
Yeah, they were sacrificing hundreds of babies to a god, and he was, right? And they were like drinking
Yeah,
the blood and like, I mean,
yeah.
okay. I've heard other people I've heard other people try to wipe out. Okay, I've heard other people who were intending to wipe out a group of people. Hitler described the people that he was trying to exterminate as like, you know, all these terrible things, and said similar things like they, you know, do this and that and all these like
Oh yeah, big time.
horrific things. And yeah, I mean,
Early propaganda, man.
yeah, right, exactly. Maybe it's all
Was
propaganda,
colonization.
man.
It is kinda. I
It
mean,
really
like
could be, right? I mean, who knows?
it was. I mean, there was definitely propaganda about natives for sure. It was just more word of mouth at the time, but
Yeah, right. Well, when I say early, I mean like yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we're talking about the same thing, like Columbus times.
yeah, and yeah. So yeah, that like, I think that like things that are kind of human nature is novelty, aka like exploration and stuff. That makes sense. It makes sense why we wanted to look around and why there were people who were willing to get on boats and travel across the ocean. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, sure, of
You
course.
know, and it's like, but then it's so but then like the like once again like the reward system is based solely on like exploitation.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you supposed to do when you get there? You gotta have something to bring back to the king so that you can get some
Right?
money.
Imagine if instead they said, instead of saying, "Oh wow, I found this untapped land that we can make our own, and we can, set up colonies, and we might even be able to enslave these people. This is pretty sick." You know what I mean? Instead of that, imagine if they just came over and said, "Oh my God, the way that these people live is so conducive to just personal growth and just like fulfillment. Maybe we should study what they do and learn from them, and maybe we should rethink our systems that we take for granted. You know what I mean? Like that we take as
Yeah,
just the way it is. It's just, I mean, like we said, this is all very just, what if things were just totally different? That's kind of like what we're
exactly.
going for.
And
So that's why I say that. But
so at what point do you think our like way of looking at the world became heavily like exploitative?
I have no idea because I don't know there's varying things. Like people even say with, ancient Egypt, people, the main thing that we hear is like the pharaohs were divine rulers who enslaved, they had all these slaves and they made them build monuments to their God-given glory so that they can have tombs to rest eternally in. And to do that, they caused people to do back-breaking labor for their entire lives, and they died on the construction sites, and they just tossed them aside, and you know what I mean.
But
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 how, like, I don't
are you gonna
know,
go back
like,
on that statement? Yeah. Okay.
I
Cool.
don't think that's actually true. Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Well, think about it, right? If but the same thing is like if you give people enough meaning behind what they're doing, they'll happily do it.
yeah,
If the people who were building the pyramids and like this all of those uh, obelisks and all this
yeah.
shit, if they truly believed that the pharaohs were divine, why would they not want to do that?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess, but at the same
You know
time,
what I mean? Like
yeah,
I feel like I mean if I felt like the work that I was doing on Earth was for like a divine purpose, I wouldn't be like, uh, I don't wanna.
yeah. Like, oh man, I really want to go home and watch The Office.
Yeah. God, I gotta carry rocks all day. But it's just like it's like what else are they doing?
I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah. If you think your life's work is fulfilling a living God's wishes, yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's what I'm saying though. It's like it's a framing thing because I mean if that's the problem that we're having in our modern society today. It doesn't feel like we're doing anything. It doesn't feel like it's for anything.
right,
And that's why
right,
so many people are like sad and
right.
depressed and anxious and like
Yep,
working dead end jobs that they actively hate
yep,
while continuing to go to them and it's just like this like yeah there's no like meaning in our lives day to day like God died and now we're here just
right.
going about our day just hoping for the best
Yep, yeah,
hoping that maybe today's the day that like when I go outside like I run into the love of my life or like maybe today's the day where I go outside and like I find $20 on the ground and like
right.
or maybe
Or,
that coffee's gonna be so good in the morning.
right. Or maybe I'll be in Stop and Shop, browsing the, whatever, produce section.
There'll
And
be a sale.
yeah, I wasn't even gonna go there, but yeah, like exactly. For some people, that's enough, but well, it's never enough. But you know what I mean. That might be just what they need to get them through the day and say, you know what, God is good.
Yeah. Well, think
the
about. I mean, like,
the bread was on sale.
yeah. I mean, sometimes it's like that, I guess. But like, when in like modern life now, we don't living it like with the divine anymore as we once were for most people. Like, like I feel like when did that end? Very recently. Uh,
What,
when
like
did God die?
2022 years ago? Or well, I guess not. Like minus like 30 or something. How old was he? I don't know.
No, no, no. I'm talking about like
Oh, you don't mean
the end
literally
of
Jesus?
no, the end of religion as basically like a societal norm.
Um,
Probably like right before the Industrial Revolution era,
I
right?
guess, yeah,
Ish.
probably.
Like 1800 early 1800s and stuff. Like Dostoevsky was still very very godly,
Yeah,
and Nietzsche wrote that maybe Nietzsche wrote the line "God is dead," and now what are we supposed to fucking
yeah.
do?
So I guess, yeah, yeah. I
So
I
it's
think, yeah,
that
that's fair.
era is like when people started moving away from faith as like
Yeah,
like
the
they
total
like
guiding
freaking
force.
like
Yeah,
bishops used to be like involved in government and
yeah,
stuff.
true. I mean, well, actually, I mean, in 1776, the day history started, um, they they said separation of church and state, but I don't understand that because they still basically. I think that's even misinterpreted because I mean they
Well,
based a
they
lot of
wanted
their
well
things
that
off
weren't
that.
Yeah, but weren't there like a lot of Protestants and stuff that were like the
Yeah, for sure.
early settlers?
Yep.
Yeah, so they were like, all these Christians are giving us shit all the time. Like, we want to have like our own spot where we can like have religious freedom.
But still, it was like very intertwined. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
literally in the Constitution, it just says like all men are created equal in the eyes of
under
God or
God.
whatever it says. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, yeah. At least there wasn't any bishops
Oh yeah, why they were the worst,
in
specifically
the
the bishops.
government.
Yeah, no, exactly. I guess you're right. But I mean, I don't. Yeah, I guess so. That was probably more of yeah.
But that's
No,
what I'm
but
saying though. Like when you believe in God, your life has more meaning.
yeah. I mean, how can it
You know
not,
what I mean?
right?
Like it's like yeah.
Yeah,
So like it's how what do we do now when we become like too modern for God anymore?
yeah. God is
You know, where do
so
we turn?
last century. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. Sorry, but
It's I mean it's
it's
like
like
it's like we have like spirituality, like a big spirituality push now where it's like, you know, but it's not really necessarily religion, it's not really necessarily about God, but it's about, you know, like feeling your feelings and
yeah,
getting close to nature and like, you know, being present and like meditation
yeah. But
and like
in a big way, I think it is. And I don't think this is what you're doing, but it's very easy to kind of scoff at it. You know what I mean? Like be like, oh yeah, I'm very spiritual. That's why I have like a poster on my wall that has like a triangle with like little chakras on it, like or whatever
ah
it is. You know what I'm saying? Like it's tie dye, so
yeah
that's how you know I'm serious.
yeah
And but
yeah
like there's whatever. It's you can say what you will about that type of thing, but like at the end of the day, I think a lot of that does genuinely come from what you pretty much are basing a lot of this around, which is like, what is this for? What's going on? There's got to be more than waking up to the alarm and then going into the job that I took because I needed to get one, and then I just now
yeah
do it so that I can get the food and have the apartment and whatever else.
yeah
Like, what
and like
else
just
is
add more
there?
people to the world.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think it's a healthy thing as long as it's, you take the next step rather than just say, oh, like I do yoga for 20 minutes before dinner. You know what I mean? Which is, hey, do your thing,
Yeah,
good for you. That's awesome. But like, you know, I
it's
just,
well yeah there's like embodying, and then the same thing with religion as well. There's like embodying it, you know, and like
right.
really
Yeah.
getting true meaning out of it, and then there's like it's popular and everyone else is doing it,
Right,
so
right, right.
I
Yeah.
guess I also do it.
Think about that. I wonder if it was like that back then. You know what I mean?
With
Like
religion,
when religion
definitely.
was so the thing, and it's like, you think there were people who were just like, yeah, I'm kind of like I'm a Lutheran because that's just kind of like what speaks to me. You know what I mean? And then they don't
Yeah,
actually like you said, they don't embody it. They just kind of like like they wear a nice
yeah,
cross or something. It's
yeah,
like I
yeah,
got this one from Antonio made it for me. It's pretty nice.
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Or you know, and I mean, this is normal as hell too, and people a lot of community like revolved around the church.
Yeah.
You know, so same with like this kind of stuff now. It's like it's that's at the core of all of this. That's where meaning truly lies. I feel like is in community.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I was talking to Cheyenne about it recently, and she was talking about how like she saw some study or something that was like people will like basically choose community over food
Oh, really? Okay.
if there's an option between the two.
See, now there's things like that are what make me think that we don't really have a very good understanding of what human nature actually is, you know?
Yeah,
Because I believe that
yeah.
wholeheartedly. And, it's
Well, you think
like,
about.
yeah,
Go ahead. Sorry. Keep
that's
going.
pretty much, I was
And
going to pretty much just rephrase what I just had already said. So, yeah.
yeah, so you think like now you take that if that's something that we can kind of agree is human,
Hmm.
the like need for community, and then you pervert it with excess and like insane hierarchy systems of like wealth and power, and then you and then it's no longer surprising why we're acting the way we're acting. It's because we want people to love us.
Huh, yeah, I guess maybe, right?
you, you know, it's like we want to fit into society, so we try to do the best job at maybe one of the worst things we could be doing.
Yeah. And then you add on top of that, like, with the way that we look at different groups of people in the world, then you develop such a strong sense of community that it morphs into like nationalism, and which is, as you
That's what I'm
so
saying.
beautifully put it, is just pathetic. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So it's
So,
like, yeah, it's like our like well-meaning intentions get perverted
hmm,
by like certain people, or maybe like certain problems, societal problems, or certain uh just circumstantial stuff, even where
uh-huh,
like over time, like, and you think like, like the whole like mob mentality thing as well is like, people will act deranged if other people are acting deranged around them, and the energy is deranged. Everyone's like, okay, I guess we're
yeah,
going wild today.
you're
So like
absolutely
you think,
right. Yeah,
like, you picture like, a bunch of colonists that are just here in the America.
yeah,
You don't think they might get a little kooky about stuff and build stuff up, and like if someone is like, one of those natives raped my wife, you don't think all of them are going to be like, oh, we have to murder all of them now, I guess,
yeah, I
and
guess,
stuff
yeah,
like that. It's like we're kooky.
that's true. Yeah, it's just hard to, I mean, that does happen, you know what I mean? That certainly
Yeah,
does happen, but I
yeah.
just wonder how much of that comes from just like we say, like whatever human nature is, or versus what we learn about what community is and what humanity is. Groups of different people who have inherent differences. There are races, there are, you know, whatever, there are languages, there are cultures and things like that. You know what I mean? Rather than, I just wonder what it would be like if instead people just, obviously I don't know how this would have happened, but if throughout the entire world, before technology, before it got to this point, if people would have just said, everybody is the same, you know what I mean? We are all like no different from each other, and we're no different from the very ground that we walk on or the air that we breathe is all the same, and the stars in the sky is it's all the same. And I know that's very like kind of like hippie type stuff, but like
Well,
it
the worst part about it is that it's literally in the Bible.
yeah, okay. Yeah, right. See, things like that are what make are
And we
what
go like, okay, but not everybody, right?
right. I know what
We're clearly better than some people.
right. When
It's,
they said that, they meant that like when they said we're all the same, we means white
yeah, it's
Europeans.
open
Come
to
on.
interpretation, clearly. Like
Yeah. Yeah, I
it's an
mean,
old book, except when it's something else. And they're like, no, you don't interpret the Bible.
yeah. Right.
It's,
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. I love that. It's like
but like
God is
it's, I
all
mean, like,
knowing and all powerful, but like listen, my name is my name's Henry, and I live in Arkansas, and I know better than anybody else in human history. So I'll tell you what, brother. When they wrote that, they actually were talking about how homosexuals deserve to be, outcast from society. Putting that nicely, just so I don't get like the video striked or something like that.
yeah,
But they would rather do something a lot worse.
yeah. But I mean, really, like it's like, but that comes from another human thing. I kind of feel like too is like when why do people hate other people?
Probably like fear and,
Yeah,
you know, just that. Probably just fear. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. But isn't it wild? But like, it's wild. It's got to be something a little bit different. It's a control thing. I feel like, because if you think about like, okay, I think it's reasonable as hell, right? If you have that like mentality around uh, like the Bible and homosexuality, if you genuinely believe that homosexual homosexuals will. Oh my freaking god! Again, thank
What's
you for
up?
the bad. My mic is clipping again.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's starting to. Yeah.
it's just starting to. Yeah,
Okay. 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 Who blew the whistle on that one?
Brian.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is not the first time this happened. In fact, it's the second time.
Yeah,
All right. I mean, I don't know. What do you want to do?
thank you so much for that. So we went
Yeah,
last time
last
until
time we
like
went
it
on
was
for like
basically
another
completely blown out.
45 minutes and it could barely
Yeah.
even hear it. Damn. Yeah, this is like a known issue apparently on my beautiful state-of-the-art
Brand
M1
new. Yeah.
MacBook. Yeah, love it.
Apple, if you're watching, you gotta
Yeah.
fix your machine.
Yeah, come on, man. I just did a OBS update hoping that that would maybe fix it, but clearly not. Um, I don't know. I mean, I'm down to keep doing this, but we have to like exit OBS and like start it over, I guess. But
It's okay. I mean, we could just do a two-part episode today.
okay. All right. Well, we've been going for like exactly an hour, so I guess it, you know.
Okay.
All right. Well,
We got the fuzz going, so we're gonna take a quick break, and instead of putting up the break screen, we're gonna end the episode and start the episode again.
yeah. So, check out
Stay
part
tuned.
2. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Cool. Peace.
This is the Pinemen.